Color grading is an art form that I think you'll agree we can never truly master. On that journey, however, there are moments when we forget the simple things. Think of it like being on holiday. We book the museums, make the reservations, and get ready for the day. And yet we can't find our sunglasses, only to realize they were on the whole time. Color grading is much the same. We focus on big concepts and forget the essentials. Anyway, I'm here to show you some incredibly simple fixes to take your work to a better place. So, let's put some tunes on and begin. First thing on the agenda is to chill out on your exposure.
Check out this shot. It's my boy Leo. He has a look of joy on his face as he is excited to run past a glacier this fine morning in July of 2024. Documentary will be released in about 2 weeks from now. When I was grading this, okay, as you see, there's nothing bad about this shot, but I just took down the highlights a little bit. Look at that. These are the scopes. Just look at all that headroom. It's just polite. It's polite. And I'm not saying it works in every case, but in this case it did. Here, I want to point out this reference. This is from the film The American with George Clooney. The brightest part of this whole image in a scene that was shot in broad daylight was not that bright.
Next, I'd like to talk about vignettes. In their most simplest form, it's just making the sides of your image a little bit darker. But the point is that they focus the eye. For instance, I'm right here. You can add a little bit of a vignette just to get some distractions of the edge of frame out and I'm more in frame. The point with vignettes though is they've really got to be subtle, because if you don't get that subtlety there, your footage is going to end up looking like it's shot through a telescope. Think about this. If you implement a few of these tips that I'm showing you, and each of them make your grade a little 5 or 10% better, suddenly adding all of them together, there's a palpable difference, a palpable improvement. And they don't even need to be radial. You can even think about some gradients. It's adding depth in color grading, and at the end of the day, that's the job of a colorist, to add depth. I feel quite intelligent. I think you feel that I'm intelligent. Okay. For me, I think color grading, we feel obliged to do things because that's what we see the pros do. And that also brings me on to my next point, which is chill the fuck out on nodes. We see other colorists have these huge node trees, all right? Those are node forests. If the shot was shot well and the cinematography was good enough, realistically, you don't need to do that much grading.
Yeah, back again, inside DaVinci, my favorite software. This is how simple it is, okay? Straight out of camera, color space transform. This shot now is looking decent. Really nice contrast ratio, moody as fuck. Big ratings.
Brings me on to my next point, which is don't ignore the scopes. Colorists, we have to trust our eyes, we want to trust our eyes, but of course there are moments where our eyes deceive us, especially if you've been looking at a project for, well, the day or multiple days in a row and you're starting to lose objectivity. I know in general it's good to walk away from your computer, go touch grass, go down to the bar or the pub with the lads and have 7 to 9 pints. Scopes is a good way of making sure that we are kind of holding ourselves accountable to looking at this creative endeavor through a scientific lens. Ooh, shit, that was good. That felt good. Now, here's some advice that doesn't even require you to open DaVinci in the first place. Also, side note, if you're here and you're a colorist or you're into color grading and you don't use DaVinci, I apologize. I am so sorry that you don't use DaVinci. DaVinci for me is the best software I have ever used in my entire life. I used to open Premiere and feel sad. 3 years on using DaVinci nearly every day, I open this software and it puts me in a good mood. I actually want to do things. I love DaVinci. I bought it once and I've never had to buy it again. The power of that is unreal. And I just know they're going to be doing amazing things for years to come. So yeah, you don't need to actually open DaVinci for this. And that is getting reference material. Quite often we take off the Tajin, we convert it to Rec 709, and then we kind of look at it blankly. We might have an idea of what we want to do, but sometimes there are certain shots or certain scenes, scenarios, whatever you want to call it, where you think, what am I doing for this shot? What do I feel like doing? Where am I going to take the footage? And that's when it's really useful to actually go and get some reference footage. And you have a North Star, and you don't need to follow that North Star until the very end. You don't need to copy that footage, but it's a launching pad. The next video I make, actually, subscribe, is going to be about reference frames and stealing the grading from those and applying it to our own work. Which I think is a really powerful tool, and it makes anyone a better colorist. So if you like that, stick around. Also, I color all of my own stuff, but if you're working with other directors, they might have their own references, but I think it makes you a very mature and seasoned artist yourself. If you come and sit and have your own references, I think that is such a good sign of a disciplined artist, that you understand that there are steps. I use a little tactic to make my footage pop, a bit like this. No, that's too much. What I do though is I add a little bit of mid detail, which is something you'll find in DaVinci, and sometimes a little touch of sharpening as well. Sometimes I do those, but I put a power window so it's not affecting the whole image. On screen you can see just flicking on and off the effect of a bit of sharpening and mid detail, and it just adds that, again, that little 5%. Also, I don't know if anyone has answers for this, but there's 3 different types of sharpening, and I've tried to look into the differences of each of them, and it seems like they're all the exact same thing. At least when you do it for a very small, on a small scale, because you don't want to be pushing this too much anyway. And finally, the last thing I've got to say is to try grade on a big screen. And of course, that's not doable for everyone. So I've got 2 alternatives. Okay, the perfect scenario is you're a professional colorist and you have one of those £30,000 screens that is perfectly accustomed to the whole process and it's amazing, and your room is dark. Then you're like me, where you have a monitor that isn't necessarily perfect for grading, but I do have, back in London, I'm in Barcelona right now, flex, but back in London I have a 32-inch monitor, and so there you can really see your work up on a big screen. The 2 alternatives I'm gonna advise, if you can't do that, just try to mirror your laptop to any old TV that you have. It's not gonna accurately depict your colors, but at least you can go in there and just have a little gander with anything that might look a bit off to you, so that you can go back to the laptop and fix it. And the second one is just don't forget to hit that P on your keyboard. Make it go full screen in DaVinci so you can just view it at the biggest scale on your laptop screen and have a peek at it on that. And the reason why I think this is important and can improve your grade is because I've done this before, editing on my laptop, small screen. I have added a slight radial blur after I've added grain. And when I've looked at it on a big screen, I've realized the grain is getting distorted because I should have added grain at the end. This is a film that I shot last year. You can't tell on a small screen, but if I zoom in, I added this, which is a radial blur. The problem with this radial blur is that
there is noise. I've added noise here, halation, very sexy. I've added noise here, but then I've added the radial blur afterwards. So now the effect is being added to the grain and it looks shit. It doesn't look right. Grain never would act like that. It's false. I've now swapped them. So you've got before and after. Nothing has changed about the color at all. This grain in the corner is no longer radial. It looks fine. See? Grain shouldn't look like that. Perfect.
But there we go. 8 little tips that are very simple, but stacking them up could actually really help you out in your grades. A lot of the time, you may already know these, but it's just nice to be reminded. Do you know what I mean? I'm even making this video for me to remind myself. I'd also love it if people could comment what they think are little, very simple tips that you can do that will add a certain vibe to a grade, because I would love to also learn as well. I am so sorry for not uploading more. I have been busy working on some other big projects, but they are all coming to a close. It's not an excuse though. I miss making YouTube videos, and I promise that I'm going to be making more of them actually, because I've got some really wonderful feedback on some of my videos. The last 2 videos I haven't. They have been poor. I know I just haven't put as much effort into those, so it makes sense. Well, at least I hope that's the reason. But here I am back trying to give some good value and entertain simultaneously. As always, it's been a pleasure to present this video to you. Please subscribe if you like me and want to see more of me, because I'm going to be doing a lot more of this. Have a great time. Whatever you're doing, go out and enjoy yourself. Right. Here's some other videos you can watch.